Hey guys, how are you? I hope you are good and doing well. In this playlist, we will learn about DSA concepts and we will start with the sorting first. And for the first lecture, we will use bubble sort for understanding the basic concept of sorting. Okay, and I'm using this bubble sort because it is the simplest one. Okay, and my main intention behind this playlist is to help freshers or the newcomers in Ruby to understand or be serious about the data structure and algorithm in the Ruby. Okay, so let's talk about the bubble sort. That what is the bubble sort? It is one of the simplest sorting algorithm. It works by repeatedly stepping through the list to be sorted. I mean the array that you may be given. Okay, and it compare each pair of the adjacent elements and swapping them if they are in wrong order. Okay, the process repeats until no more steps are needed, indicating that the list is sorted. Okay, and it within each iteration of the bubble sort, the largest element of the list is positioned at the last of the array. Okay, or last position of that iteration. Okay, now let's talk about the steps of the bubble sort. So how it is start? So first we need to start with the first element of the array, then we need to compare this first element of the array with the next element. Okay, and if the first element is greater than the second one, then we need to swap them. Okay, and if not, then move to the next pair of the element. Okay, and then continue this process for all the elements array, and after first pass the largest element bubbles up, so it's to its correct position at the end of the array. Okay, and then we need to repeat the process for the remaining unsorted portion of the array, ignoring the last sorted elements. Okay, now let's see how to implement this. Okay, so let's go to some code directory, I mean some code editor. Okay, and here let's define an array as an example. For example, let's say you have an array like this. Let's say array, and array is like first of all let's make it a ruby code. Okay, so let's make it a ruby code, and here what you need to do, let's say you can check array in any order, like let's say 59, 4, 6, 4, 3, 2, 99, and let's say 76, let's say 56, and then let's say 34, let's say 121, let's say 65, and then let's say 79. And if you wish, you can add many more elements. Okay, and now you can see that in this array you can see there are some repeated elements. Okay, there are some larger numbers and smallest number, and all are arranged in a random order. Okay, so this is a perfect example of array that we can use for the sorting. Okay, because it's very rare that the array is already sorted in the problem, or it is already in reverse or exactly sorted in the reverse order. Okay, so this is very rare scenarios. Okay, because most of the times we just get the random sample of the list. Okay, and then we need to do that. And once we have the given array, we need to define the length of the array explicitly. Okay, however this is optional completely. Okay, and by the explicitly defining the array length, what I mean that you can choose a number, let's say n equal to array dot length. Okay, and then what you need to do, sorry. Okay, now we need to implement the iteration for this bubble sort. Okay, so first start with the first element of the array. Okay, so here what you need to do, for I in, and then 0 dot n minus 1. Okay, and if you don't want to define this n, you can simply use here, let's say array dot length minus 1. Okay, this is also working. Okay, but but for the clean readability and for the simplicity of the code, I'm using n and defining the array length explicitly. Okay, now we need to repeat the procedure for the all elements of the array, so we need another loop, and here we will implement our exchange or swapping logic as well. Okay, so in this loop what we need to do, first make it do, and then for let's say j in, and we also need to start it from 0. Okay, so j in 0, and here what you need to do, n minus I minus 1. Okay, sorry, n minus I minus 1. Okay, now one can think that why I used I here. Okay, I mean n minus I minus 1, because as we discussed previously that at the end of the each pass, the largest element in that pass will be located to or position to its correct position in the array. Okay, so that's why, let's say if I is 0, then we need to go to the second last element, and then we need the last element to compare. Okay, and if I is 1, so similarly we need to repeat our loop like that. Okay, and here make it do an end, and end the first loop as well. Okay, and now in this loop what we need to do, we need to implement our swapping logic. Okay, by comparing each element with its adjacent element. Okay, and if the current element is the greater than the next element, then only we need to do the swap, otherwise we should not do anything else. Okay, so here what we need to do, that if array of j, okay, is greater than its adjacent element, I mean the next adjacent element means the next element. So for example, here if I of j is 59, then its next element will be 4. Okay, so here what we will cover, that consider that if 59 is greater than 4, so if array of j is greater than array of j plus 1. Okay, and then what we need to do, first to end this block, and here we need to do the swapping using temporary variable. Okay, and I'm using temporary variable here, we will correct it later. Okay, but I'm just implementing the bubble sort in a very basic manner. Okay, so that's why I'm using temporary variable here for maintaining, to handle the swapping logic or to swap the value of two adjacent elements. Okay, however, if you already know that how we can do this without using temp variable, you can do that. Okay, but at the very simplest level, I think you start with the temp variable will be great thing. Okay, so temp is equal to, let's say, array of j plus 1. Okay, and then array of j plus 1 is equal to array of j. Okay, and then what you need to do, array of j is equal to temp array of j is equal to temp. Okay, and that's all. This is the implementation of the bubble sort in Ruby. Now let's try our solution in some console, or maybe you can use Rails console or you can use IRB console. Okay, so first copy this array, and then we need to go to the Rails console to check whether this solution is working or not. Okay, so let's switch to the console and paste the array here. Okay, so this is my array, original array, and now let's define this n equal to array dot length explicitly here. Okay, and now let's paste this logic into the Rails console. And as I told you already, that you can use IRB console as well. Okay, so just copy this and paste it into the Rails console. Okay, so you can see that this is working. Now what we need to do, that we need to try to print our array whether this is sorted or not. Okay, so let's do that thing. So what we can do, array, and when you do array, you can see that 2 3 4 4 6 34 56 59 65 76 79 99 and 121. That means it has returned the sorted array. Okay, and you can see that the bubble sort logic is returning the sorted array, and you can say that this solution is working because it is giving the expected result. Okay, why expected? Because with a sorting algorithm we always expect it to return the sorted array if it is not arranged by default in the sorted manner. Okay, but is this really an efficient solution? Okay, I would say no. Why? Because let's say you are asked to implement the bubble sort in an interview, and you implement like this solution that we implemented here. For example, you implemented this solution. Okay, however this is working and returning the expected output, still there are chances to improve this and make it more efficient. Okay, because interviewer might ask you that do you see any flaw in this implementation, or do you need do you see any chances of improvement in this solution? So there are chances of improvement in this solution or in this logic, and you can make it more efficient. Okay, let me tell you what are the improvement that can be asked. Okay, in this implementation, swapping will be performed in each iteration, or at least the condition will be checked in each pass. Okay, even two adjacent or all array elements are same. Okay, and if this is happening in your code, this is not an efficient solution of the bubble sort. Okay, because this solution will result in order of n square complexity. I mean, in worst case, even if the array is sorted by default. Okay, so your implementation of the bubble sort must have some flag to detect that the array is already sorted, or to adjust adjacent element are already sorted. Okay, and you need to break the passes when swapping is really not needed. Okay, I mean, with this logic, what is happening right now, let's say for example, if this the entire array is already sorted. Okay, let's say you get this array in the as a problem. Okay, so this array is already sorted, but still it results in the order of n square complexity. I mean, it will result in the worst case complexity. Okay, so we need some flag here to detect if the array is already sorted, then we can avoid swapping of the elements, okay, in each iteration, so we can save that time. Also, you can see that we used temp variable here. However, this is working fine and there is no question can be asked to them, but this is not a ideal way. Okay, and this is not a concise way, because Ruby provide us a more concise and idiomatic way to swap values using parallel assignment. Okay, and if a language provides some concise ways, then you need to follow those concise ways into your implementation rather than doing very basic things. Okay, so let's apply these improvements here. Okay, so what we will do, so here you can see we just need to update logic here. Okay, we don't need to do that n equal to array dot length or array. Okay, now here, after the first iteration, after the first loop, what we need to do, we need to check, we need to define a flag which is for detecting if swapping is required. Okay, so swapped equal to, let's say, false. Okay, and now here, as I told you, that we can do some parallel assignment here. Okay, so what parallel assignment we can do, what we are doing here actually using temp variable, that we are assigning the value of array of j to array of j plus 1 and array of j plus 1 to array of j. Okay, so here what we need to do, just remove this and you can simply do array of j comma array of j plus 1 is equal to array of j plus 1 comma array of j, array of j plus 1 comma array of j, array of j. Okay, and then set swapped equal to true, swapped equal to true, and then after the first after this loop, what you need to do, break unless swept. Okay, and then now you need to execute this in the console and you will see the solution is still returning same and expected output, but with better and more efficient solution. Okay, so what you need to do, let's define this array and length of the array again into the console. Okay, so you can paste it here and then go to this logic and paste this logic now. Okay, so if you print array before sorting right now, you will see the unsorted array, and after executing your logic, if you do array, you will still see the sorted output. Okay, so this is working. Okay, and there can be more different solution for this as well, and you can do those as well, but make sure to have this swapping flag to implement this in efficient way. Here I used for loop, you can use while loop, times iterator, and so on. Okay, and one more thing that you need to know, that bubble sort is not efficient for larger data sets, as this result in order n square complexity in its average and worst case. Okay, and this is mainly used to understand the sorting in a very simple and basic way. Okay, so that's all for this lecture, and we will meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.